Hey everyone, we are live at 5 different locations. At the beach location. Hi everyone. I'll wait a few minutes for everyone to jump on. Like this nice fake plant in the back I put there for staging. How is everyone? Happy almost July 4th. Have my bracelet on. I'm very patriotic. Yep, you got it, right? 250th anniversary. That is big. If you're joining me for the first time, I see people jumping on. Say hi. Let me know where you're from. Tonight's training is all about pricing and knowing your worth. And I have a couple of real life stories that I get to share, actually, which is kind of exciting. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm having tech issues. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Can you not hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Say yes or no. Okay, all right, we're good. All right. If you're joining me for the first time and you don't know who I am, this is the Sisters Who Scale YouTube page. I'm a cleaning business coach and consultant, also an active owner of my own company in the Boston, Massachusetts area, Made Bright Cleaning. I built my way from solo and broke to single mother, scrubbing baseboards on Friday afternoons and Saturday mornings because I didn't think I could afford help to grow a real company. Right now, I have a real company with a real team and real revenue and real stories. So, tonight, for the next little while, I'm going to show you the real reason most cleaning business owners stay stuck on pricing. And I'll tell you right now, it's not your numbers, it's not your market, and it's not your competitors. So, by the time we're done tonight, you're going to know exactly which 5 specific beliefs have been quietly setting your prices for you in the background, probably without you ever realizing it. So drop a hello in the comments. I read every single one. Tell me where you're watching from tonight. This one's going to make you uncomfortable, and that's a good thing. So that's exactly where the growth lives. And you already know I'm not going to dance around that to keep you comfortable for the next 30 minutes. So let me check in and see who's here. Oh, all right, good. He was on mute. Okay, so we had quite a few people sign up for tonight. Some people watch it on replay, and that's totally fine. So here's what I need you to think about before we go any further. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through 5 pricing mistakes that are quietly draining thousands of dollars out of your business every single month. But I want to tell you something right now. Before we get into mistake number 1, is none of these 5 mistakes is actually about your prices, okay? I know that sounds backwards. You clicked on this training because pricing is the thing that keeps you up at night. You think about it all the time, right? Most of us do. And it's the quote you've been sitting on for 3 days because you were too scared to send. It's the price increase you've been meaning to do for the last 3 years and you haven't done it. And it's that number that you say out loud to a new client and then you immediately want to take it back seconds after you've said it, right? After it leaves your mouth. So, of course, it feels like a pricing problem if you feel not confident about it, right? Do you have the right number? Do you have the right formula? You search online, you figured out the right script. You're thinking if you had all that stuff, it would click into place. And it actually won't. And I need you to hear that because I've watched hundreds of cleaning business owners chase that right number for years without it ever sticking. And here's why. Your price sheet is not where the problem lives. It is just where the problem shows up. And I have 2 very interesting examples that happen in my own company that I'm pretty psyched to talk about tonight. And I'll get to those in a little bit. I actually posted about them in the room. So you need to hear this training. The real problem is happening somewhere else entirely underneath that spreadsheet and what you actually believe about your own worth, your own work, and what you think you're allowed to ask for. And this resonates more with women owners than it does with men. Men have a less of a hard time with pricing. Women have a very difficult time pricing. And so until you deal with that part, you can change all the numbers you want. You can price per square footage. You can do production rate. You can do flat rate. You can do hourly. You can do all different types of things, right? And you'll raise your rates and you'll try different things out of frustration, out of panic. And then later you're just going to quietly lower them again, right? Before anyone even objected because you might feel guilty or something. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Drop the word pricing if you've done that exact same thing. I see everything. Tonight is not necessarily, hi Crystal, hi Chelsea. Chelsea's my new girl from Texas. We're going to scale her business in Houston. Tonight's actually not about pricing. It is and it isn't, right? We're gonna look at something more almost like an X-ray of what's going on underneath the hood, right? So we're going to look at 5 incredibly common price behaviors. Probably every single one of you have done at least 1 or 2 of them this year. And we're going to find the actual belief that's driving the bus. So I'm not going to give you the fix tonight. I want you to see and recognize what you could be doing, right? Clearly for the first time. So the truth is that it applies to way more than just pricing, and you cannot change what you refuse to look at. So I'm the rip the Band-Aid off girl, right? We get under the hood, rip the Band-Aid off and see what's going on. So before anyone tells me this doesn't apply to them, I want you to do some quick math while we sit here. So even if one of these 5 mistakes is costing you somewhere between $200 and $500 a month, which is incredibly conservative for this, on your own, that's somewhere in between $2,400 and $6,000 a year gone. That could be company culture funding. That could be your credit card fees and stuff like that if you're running credit cards, right? So because your belief running quietly in the background and you've never once stopped to question it, that's what we're going to look like. So multiply that by however many years you've been running this business, and that's the number we're going to talk about. Okay. Mistake number 1, if you want to write this down, please write it down. Pricing off your own wallet, what you would pay for a service, not the actual value. So let me know if you've ever done this. Drop it in the comment. You're typing up a quote, you land on a number, and right before you hit send, that little voice in your head says, well, personally, I wouldn't pay that much for someone to clean my house. So you knock it down to something that feels fair. Fair to a version that is still nervous about asking for money, not fair to the job that's in front of you. If you go to an estimate and you see that the job is, they have 3 Labrador retrievers, they got 10 kids, they got all kinds of stuff going on, hockey equipment, Legos, everything. Right? If you see all that stuff and you're going to have to pick up some clutter to get to the rug, it's going to cost you more. That is a labor problem, okay? Why would you go home and feel bad and change the price because the potential client is telling you they're overwhelmed? Why would you change that? You're solving her problem. Right? She is begging for you to give her a price that she wants to pay, right? Not that you want to pay. That's a big mistake, and none of you probably even realize you're doing that. So if your relationship with money has ever been scarce at a time like mine was, I was a single parent for a while. I was a single parent for 11 years, right? Yeah. It leaks straight into your quotes and you don't even know it. You assume every client is as price sensitive as you've had to be in the past, right? I coupon code. I started my cleaning business so I could make money to pay the bills and feed my child, which now there's no problems, but it wasn't always like that. All right. So I had a client, Renee. She ran solo for almost 3 years, couldn't charge more than $120 for a standard clean, no matter what size the house. She was stuck on that number. And when I asked her why, she didn't talk about her market. She talked about her mom and how $120 felt a lot to ask someone for growing up. That was her whole pricing strategy, a number that felt emotionally safe from what the job is actually worth, right? Nothing can really get done for $120 anymore, right? Maybe a couple of bathrooms, that's it, right? So she by the time she figured out she had to separate what felt safe to her and what the job was worth, she raised her price by 60 and she was at 180 and didn't lose a single client, right? So ask yourself tonight, when you set a price, are you pricing the job or are you pricing your own comfortable level, of what you would potentially pay? All right. That's mistake number one. Let's see who's on. You did it this week. Hi, Amanda. You did it this week, Crystal? You felt bad. See, you felt bad. That is an internal issue. Crystal's a friend of mine that I'm going to fix that for you. So that's an internal issue that's going on inside that has nothing to do with the person sitting across from you. Yep, nothing to do with that. You and I come from the same cloth. So mistake number two, treating a price increase like a personal rejection. How many of you have ever done that? I have, right? You need to raise your prices. You've known for months, maybe years. That email, maybe it's been sitting in your draft since the spring. Every time you go to hit send, you talk yourself out of it. Let me wait till after the holidays. Let me wait till things settle down. It's never going to feel like a good time. This one isn't about money. It's about actual rejection. So somewhere along the line, you started treating the client that might say no as the same thing as the client that doesn't like me. Who cares if they like you? I don't care. People like me. I mean, they want to be liked in a general sense, but wait till I tell you the two stories that happened. So you keep absorbing the rising cost of the business, which drills down your profit margin instead of risking that slightly awkward conversation. Okay. And the longer you wait, the bigger it feels, the harder it is to jump. You get nervous, you sweat, whatever. Right. And it makes more sense. And then it's a spiral. You don't do it. I work with tons of cleaning business owners, and I would say 90% of the people I work with are not charging enough. So if we raise the value of house cleaning, whether you're doing interior, exterior, if we raise it as owners throughout the whole country and other countries systemically, the price increases and homeowners will get used to paying $20, $30 more. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. Okay. So you guys all know Gloria Paul. I've worked with her for almost 3 years. She went a long time. She went 2.5 years without a price increase. And when I finally got the real reason, it wasn't spreadsheets. It was one sentence. I didn't want them to think that I was being greedy. So that sentence was a whole mistake, right? She sent price increase letter, and I want to say 95% of her people stayed with her. All right. Yeah. 95%. They were okay with the price increase because they knew that she was worth it. Her services were worth it. So for a lot of us, that hustle and sacrifice became the story that made us feel valuable in the first place, right? Helping people. House cleaning is a hustle. Most of us we want cash only. We want Venmo because we want to beat the system. You're not really beating a system. You're doing yourself an injustice, but we don't know that in the beginning, right? We don't know that having a cleaning business is a massive tax shelter. Any service business is a massive tax shelter. So we hustle. So, we're charging what we're worth. It doesn't feel like a smart decision. It feels like betraying the identity that got you here, right? I work with another owner, Patty, who could have charged double. She'd still be the best in her market. When we ran our numbers, she was making less per hour than her own cleaners. Less per hour than her own cleaners, right? Once she separated her worth as a person from the prices she needed to change as a business owner, everything changed in her business. She stopped letting hardworking and underpaid. She stopped all that. If you're not charging enough, right? How many people don't feel like they're charging enough in their service? Say not charging enough here. Yeah, it's all right. We'll fix it. I see 14 people on here. Everyone say hi to me. It is right before the 4th of July. I'm super excited, as you can tell. All right, I'm into it. I got my freedom bracelets and stuff. Yeah, I'm into it. All right. USA was born on entrepreneurship and creating wealth and mindset. Let's use it, right? This thing reminds me of Wonder Woman when I was a kid. I used to watch Wonder Woman on Friday nights, and I would jump off the coffee table. I would wrap my wrists in aluminum foil because I thought that if I did that, like I could fly around the living room, and I would do that. So I bought this bracelet because it reminds me of like Wonder Woman, and I think Wonder Woman is like so cool. So that's why I have it on. All right, mistake number 4 is quoting from panic instead of strategy. Cash is tight this month. Payroll's coming up, or a client just canceled and a new lead comes in, and instead of quoting it the way you did last month or the month before, you drop the price to make sure you land it without even checking if you can pay everything with all the separation of the labor and the profits and the marketing and the insurance and the workers' comp, right? You guys should all have a formula of what you charge that covers all the bills and pays the company a healthy profit, right? Which is ultimately the profits go to you, right? So you don't want to do that, right? Same job, just less money because you needed the money, right? And that's a scarcity mentality. I am guilty of doing that from my days as a single parent, right? I was tough driving around in my Honda CRV with a caddy and a mop and a vacuum in the back. I remember what that feels like to this day. But that isn't a discipline problem. That's biology. So when you're scared about money, your brain isn't thinking about lifetime client value. It's thinking about getting through the week. It's thinking about getting more money at the end of the week. It's thinking about buying groceries. Survival brain takes over. And I get it. I was there. But you cannot scale a cleaning company on that survival mode. This has to be, there's no emotion in business. The numbers are black and white. Yes, you can be a nice person and you can have good relationships with your clients. But at the end of the day, if you're not making money on a client, they going to go or they going to be raised. Or you're going to figure out why the staff is taking so long in that house, right? I had another cleaning owner, Marcus. He did commercial. And he told me he could always tell looking back which one of his quotes were panic quotes just by the number. 1 month he was short 2 cleaners and scared of losing a contract. So he quoted a commercial client 20% under his normal rate. That is too much just to lock it in. It took him over a year to get that pricing back. You have to understand when you underprice so much, you can't pay the bills of the business. You cannot grow. So when people come to me and they say, I cannot afford to hire, I know that they're not charging enough. And I also know that their teams are slow and that there's a flaw in the system. And when I work with people in the drop them off, whether it's private or in the group, we lift the hood up. It's like a car, right? We lift the hood up. We see what's going on inside to fix everything. I can't fix everything when I'm looking at the outside because everything looks grand. But when we open up the hood, we can see what's going on, right? So the fix with Marcus wasn't a formula. It was learning to recognize that I'm scared moment and preventing it from getting on the page, preventing it from getting on the quote, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Let me see if that makes sense. Yep. Where's Victoria? Victoria, I love you. Victoria, I miss you. Dora says not charging enough. See, yeah, it's super common. It's super common. Victoria didn't charge enough either. Happy 4th. Happy 4th. May the 4th be with you, USA. Such a dork. All right, mistake number 5. Pricing against your competitors instead of your value. And then I'm going to tell you my stories. Before you send a quote, check what 2 or 3 other companies in town charge, right? You land just under all of them. What's happening here is your pricing isn't coming from you. It's coming from other people. Why would you price for other people, according to what other people are charging? When you don't know their overhead, you don't know their cost, you don't know if they have an office, if they're running it from their home, if they're in a state where they don't have to have workers' comp, like Texas, right? For example, Massachusetts cleaning companies cannot compare themselves to Texas cleaning companies or Florida cleaning companies or New York or California. Totally different. Every state has a different way that they price. It has a different median income, has a different labor rate. So that's all dependent on what state you're in, right? So you have to come up with your own pricing formula. Okay, it's easy to anchor to someone else's number than to sit with the harder question: what am I actually worth, and what will my company allow me to pay? Right. So if you're running a lot of ads, you're paying a lot of money, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. You have to charge enough, otherwise you're spinning your wheels and you're not making any money. Right? You're not making any money at all. So a lot of the time it's avoidance wearing a business owner costume, right? So um, let's talk about my stories. Okay, I went to an estimate, as you all know. The way I don't clean anymore, I haven't for a long time. The way I stay connected with my company is it's I like to do the in-person estimates because everyone knows me in the community. And I like to stay connected. I have a great closing rate. And we have a healthy closing rate because of that relationship I've built. Will I train someone else at some point? I will. It's coming. I don't know when, but it is coming. It's probably one of the last things, right? That. And we're going to be training someone to start. I mean, I don't train anymore. I haven't trained for forever, but we're going to be promoting someone to take over the quality as well. So my team leaders are doing a great job, but now we're elevated. We're growing so much. We hired 8 people in the last 3 weeks. That's been wild. A lot of people to train, a lot of reviews to do, a lot of quality. A couple people didn't make it, a lot of stuff going on, but we're that busy, right? We're that busy because we do a really good job. So let me get to my story. I go to an estimate. Great house. I love it. People were decent. Wife was working on the computer. Husband walks me through. I have a whole system. I walk the house, ask questions. I have my whole sales package, and I sit down with this man, and I go over everything. And I've been in sales all my life, and I can read people. I can read body language and stuff. And he kept rushing me. And he was an older, not old, but like, I don't know, late, like mid-ish or whatever, 50s. And so rushing me through, I'm talking about the service agreement and the checklist and the add-ons and all that stuff. And he wanted me to get to the point. He wanted the price, right? I'm like, okay, fine. So I give him the price. And then he starts complaining about how the other company didn't speak English. They did a crappy job, blah, blah, blah. Then his wife starts chiming in. I'm like, okay, these guys are cool people. They're in one of the biggest areas we service or whatever. And then, and then he starts. And then he's like, well, we're getting a few other quotes. And I'm like, here we go, right? And I'm like, no, it's good to get other quotes. You want to see what's out there. I know what's out there. Because I do my research. I know every single one of my quote unquote competitors or whatever. And, we do a good job and we take a lot of business from the competitors because they're not doing a good job. So I know all that, right? I know all that. And so he goes through that. And I said, okay, I said, get your quotes, nice to meet you. I sent over the estimate. The next day, he says to me, we got 3 other quotes. And they were a little bit lower than you, and we want to know if you would do it for $20 less. So I said, let me do some research on this guy. So I look him up, and I find he was a national sales director of whatever company. It doesn't really matter. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy is probably just preconditioned to try and get a deal, number one, because he's a sales guy. Number 2, doesn't value the service and thinks they're all equal, which is a bigger problem. So when someone asks you, and I haven't had anyone ask me to reduce my price in a long time, a few years. And it's usually guys because they think they're smart, right? And and I did a video on it yesterday, and I sat there and I'm like, God damn it, this guy, $20. You believe that? They just sold another house for like millions. And I looked it up. Because I used to be a realtor, and I do my research, and I know what's going on, and I sat with it. And then he messaged me again. I didn't answer him. I answered him this morning, and I turned him down. And I basically just said, no, I appreciate your email. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I said, however, I said I give my best possible price when I go out. And I said we have to pay taxes and insurance and workers' comp. And it's, the reason why our quality is so great is because we pay our staff a livable wage to make sure we can give the best possible service. I said I appreciate the opportunity, but go with someone else. Over $20? You kidding me? You don't want anyone like that. I'm going to tell you why you don't want anyone like that. Because when your staff gets in the house, they're going to torture them. People that are lowballers and they want to price crunch you. They want to feel like they're in a deal. Okay, so you want to feel like you're getting a deal over $20? Have at it, buddy. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find people who value who I'm worth or whatever, who value my staff, who are going to give my staff waters when they come in the house, or are going to give them a tip at Christmas time. I know exactly what type of client that is, and I turn them down. That's what you do. That's how you value what you're worth. They complained because they had someone else that wasn't doing a good job. Here's the deal. They got 3 other quotes, and then they got one from me, and then they're trying to beat me down. I don't need your business. How's that? That's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. I know I missed you too. That is what you do. You have to protect your staff. You have to protect yourself. So that was the one story. And then there was another one. Someone was just rushing me, and I'm trying. We go away in July, to the beach, and I'm trying. I work crazy. I probably work 80 hours a week between everything we do. I'm trying to take some days off. And I think I did my last one yesterday, and I had this guy, another man, I don't know why they're aggressive with this stuff. Another one saying, I said I can get there as soon as Monday. I just started my vacation. I'm thinking it's 4th of July, 250th, right? He sent me back a message. He goes, I sent you pictures and everything. You can't give me a price. I got 3 other quotes. I'm like, what is it with 3 other quotes things? I got 3 other quotes. I'm going to make a decision by Friday. I'm like, yeah, right, buddy, because I'm on vacation. And I declined. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I always, as 20 years, in this industry, because I've been cleaning off and on for 20 years, I said, it's always best interest for the client if I come and take an in-person walk through and see your house. I can give you the best possible price and meet you and see if we're a fit for each other. I said, I don't have anything. I said, unfortunately, it sounds like you're in a rush and we're on a 2-week wait list. I said, thank you for the opportunity, but, basically go with someone else. What? Just stop. The women homeowners that I go and do the estimates with, they don't act like that. They act like normal human beings. Don't try and strong arm me. No, that's not who I want on my schedule or our schedule, because they're not going to be nice to my staff. And it is very important that my staff have a great working experience. We have an insane, knock on wood, retention rate. I have one girl, Amanda, that has come. She worked for us for almost 7 years. She comes back in the summer. She works in the school system now. She goes back in the summer and works. I didn't do that by getting jerk clients on the Made Bright schedule and have them go out and get treated like crap. That's not what you do. So if you can do anything with your business, forget about pricing for a second. If you can do anything with your business, be the best possible boss you can be, because you'll retain your people. So you don't want people like that. So I don't like walking away from business, but not all money is good money. And you all have to realize that. If I can impress anything upon you, not all money is good money. Some money you're going to work a lot harder for. So make it easier on yourself. Learn to recognize these pricing worth issues, right? The old Cheryl would have said, yes, I can do it for $20 less. I would have done it. The new Cheryl, she hasn't done that in a while. And I still had a tiny bit of a pull. I'm like, oh my God, should I make a deal? Should I give it to him? I'll meet you in the middle. I'll do 10. And then I woke up this one. I'm like, I'm not doing that, because we didn't earn our reputation by being the cheapest. We're not the most expensive. He thinks we are. Who knows when we go for quotes? You probably get a bunch of solo people, right? That, they're not paying taxes and stuff. So who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I know my hard numbers. I give the best possible price when I get out there. And if that doesn't work for you, move on. Move on. That's how you do it. That is how you do it, right? It's okay, yeah, that's a polite way of them saying price is too high or not about it. And I get that they're what about the one I have to talk to my husband first? Yeah, that's I mean that's from the woman or whatever. And so that could be something to having to do with maybe they didn't like your presentation, right? Maybe you don't have a presentation yet. Maybe they maybe they sense that you were not confident about giving that price. There could be all different reasons for that. I did have that happen before. I will tell you that when I walk through with the husbands, they have less of a closing rate. Husbands look at numbers, right? Husbands don't, God forbid, love my husband, right? You guys love your husband, right? But however, the husbands are not the best ones to pick the house cleaner because they don't clean the house for the most part, except Victoria's husband, because he works a business with her. They don't clean the house. They don't understand the anxiety that it causes a woman when she walks in the house and there's clutter and crap everywhere. They don't get that, right? They don't understand that because they don't feel like that when they walk into a house. Some guys can live in squalor and it doesn't affect them at all. So your best possible person to walk through is the female because she's the one picking up, she's the one overwhelmed, she's cleaning the house, taking care of the kids, working a 40-hour a week job, doing the laundry, all that stuff. That is your person that you want to sell to, right? That is the person, the female. The husbands are harder because they look at it as a transactional negotiation, right? These two men that asked for quotes from me this week were trying to negotiate with me. I'm not going to negotiate with you because I know my prices, I know my standards, I know what my company needs to make, and I know what I want to make as profit as a business owner. There's no negotiation. Go get whatever, someone down the street that's going to break your stuff and not tell you, which is what this guy said to me. He's like, oh, they broke stuff, they wouldn't tell us. Okay, go hire a cheap one, have at it, because it's not going to be us. So don't ever take someone like that on, right? They can go with the crappy one and they can go through 6 cleaners, right? And then they'll understand when they turned you down why you were $20 higher. Imagine $20, $20. Are you kidding me? Right, whatever. I was like, nope, not my ideal client, not my ideal client. So exactly, they're money minded and they cycle through cleaners. When the wife is upset with the quality, then the cycle continues to look for the best deals. We all know whether it's cleaning, whether it's anything else, you never want to go with the cheapest. You never want to go with the cheapest, right? Maybe you don't want to go with the most expensive. I get that. You want to look for the one that has the best reputation in the community. If everyone is talking about your company in social media, in the hair salon, in the gym, whatever is happening, right? People are going to listen to that. And men have a lot of talent, right? I'm not taking anything away from them. It's not in picking the house cleaner. It's just not. Like, it's very rare that a man can do that unless he's the one cleaning. We do have a few clients on our schedule that they were the ones cleaning, so they picked us. That makes total sense. You know why? Because they don't want to clean the house anymore. This making sense, right? So before I let you close, or before I let you close, I'm thinking closing. Before I end tonight, I want to run back through all those 5 ones, right? Because I want them sitting in your head when you're thinking about this, when you go out. So mistake number 1, pricing off your own wallet internally instead of the client's actual value, because your own relationship with money is a little messed up. Okay, you never want to do that. Mistake number 2, treating a price like a personal rejection. Don't take it personal. You're going to get rejected. People are going to cancel you, right? It's just going to happen. Get over it. So you don't want to do that. All right. Mistake number 3, building your entire identity around being the cheap, hardworking option. No. So that charging what you're worth feels like betraying who you are. Don't worry about that. Don't be the cheapest, right? Mistake number 4, quoting from panic instead of strategy, letting a scary week make a permanent pricing decision, right? Don't want to do that because at the end of the day, that's just numbers. That's just numbers. It's black and white numbers, right? So if you're running a 20% profit margin, what are you doing? You shouldn't even be entering that house. That is a black and white mathematical formula. It has nothing to do with feeling or pricing or, wanting to have a lot of friends, right? Nothing. It's not going to make your business profitable. And mistake number 5, pricing against your competitors instead of your own value. Outsourcing the scariest decision in your business to people who don't know your costs, your quality, or your standards. So 5 different mistakes that could all be potentially running through your head. It has nothing to do with how we're pricing. So if we look back at all those for a second, pricing off your own wallet instead of the value in front of you, avoiding a price increase because it feels like a personal rejection, right? Those things, every single one of those beliefs, quietly are wearing a price tag, and most of you have never once looked underneath to look at that stuff. So I was excited to do this because it was different. It wasn't talking about square footage or flat rate or anything like that, right? So if you sat through this and you're saying, oh my God, that's me, I do that, one or more of those or all of those, I want you to actually let that land instead of doing what we all do, which is laugh it off and go on and continue to make the same mistakes, right? That recognition is not supposed to make you feel bad about yourself, right? I lead with love and good intention, right? But if you've been feeling like this entire time of this training, maybe it's time to change something, right? Maybe it's time to change something. So I want to be clear about something. It doesn't mean you're broken or bad at business. You're learning, or somehow worse than anyone else next to you or whatever. Every single owner I've ever coached, including myself, because I've coached myself, has lived inside one of these 5 at some point. Usually a couple, right? Maybe 2, maybe 3, right? The difference between the owner who is still stuck and the owner who is finally free is whether she was actually ever willing to stop and take a look at what's really happening underneath. So here's what I want you to do between now and the next time we're together, which is next week. Not a worksheet, not a formula. Go back and look at your last 10 quotes. So that's your homework. I give homework when you work with me. I give a lot of homework. Go back and look at your last 10 quotes. Look at the price and think about how you came upon that price, quote by quote, right? What the conversations were. If you did an in-person estimate, did you fear rejection? Why you gave them that price? Was it your identity that made you come into the price, or your panic, or you thought about Molly Maids or Maid Pro or Maid Brigade or whatever? If you're, thinking about any of that stuff, right? You don't have to fix anything tonight. You just have to start being honest about which one it was, because that honesty is the part that no one else is willing to give you. They hand you a script for objections, right? Very masculine script. Here's what you say, blah, blah, blah. That stuff doesn't work. It's got to come honestly, right? And they'll never ask you to look at the belief underneath why you're pricing where you are, okay? Right? So, makes sense? That makes sense? Makes sense. So that's it for tonight. I'm going to go celebrate the U.S. No, I'm not celebrating until Friday, actually. But I want you to just all start thinking about this and be honest with yourself, right? If you like this training tonight, I go live at 5 every single Wednesday. Now, they used to be on my Facebook page. They're now on my YouTube channel. If you like this and want to get notified when I go live, hit the subscribe channel. Show me some love. You'll get notified. Tell your friends if they're in the cleaning industry. I do this every single week, and I've heard that they're helpful, right? We do it every single week. So drop in the comments if you're walking away tonight and this helped you. Let me know. I read all of my comments. Let me know if this helped you, and let me know which one you are. If you're number 1, mistake number 1, mistake number 3, mistake number 5, let me know which one you are, right? I'd be interested to know. There. Oh, hi. Dodora. Is that your real name? Happy 250th. I'm into it. Right? Happy 250th. This is the new look for July. This is the new location. Once we go back to my home studio, it will be the cool purple. But right now, this is the location. Everyone, happy 4th. Celebrate. Be safe. Oh, Kat Thompson. Hi, Kat. Oh, all right, girl. Okay. Be safe, right? Be safe. Have a good weekend, and hopefully you're not working. Don't work on July 3rd. We're closed. Our company is closed, right? That's what I advise. Have a great weekend. Be safe. I'll see you all next week.